Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be showing you how I grease my Jeep Wrangler TJ. Starting with the drive shaft. Stay tuned, I'm going to show you how to lubricate the whole chassis. Okay, so here I have a tray of bad U-joints that I've just collected over time to show you why it's important to grease your Jeep or any vehicle that you own. You can see how the bearing had started to just disintegrate and the bearing started chewing up the shaft. Now you don't want to go wheeling or on a trail with U-joints like this, so it's good to just do a preventative maintenance and add a couple pumps of grease. As the grease starts to dry out and it can no longer lubricate anymore, the grease is breaking down and it's not effective. So keep watching this video. I'm going to show you how to prevent this. Okay, so you can go up to AutoZone, O'Reilly's, or any Autoport store. Most likely they'll have a grease gun like this, and with the grease gun comes with a flexible tubing like so. You're going to need this style fitting at the end, which is also removable. They usually come with these guns, grease guns. So basically you'll just take a Zerk fitting like this and you'll push it on the top like so, and once it's in, then you just go ahead, give it a couple pumps, and grease will enter into the chamber. So after maybe 1 or 2 pumps, you just pop it off like this, and you can see close up there's a Zerk fitting here, a grease fitting, and a little check valve so grease doesn't back out. But grease is forced in there, and then this tube where the drive line is slipping on the splines will get well greased. So there's point number 1. Also, I wanted to show you guys on this drive shaft I have 3 other grease fittings. We have 1 at the end of the U-joint and then 2 other U-joints. So how I like to grease these. First things first, I like to remove them with the flathead screwdriver. Like that. And at the AutoZone parts store, you can pick up a grease fitting like this. So you'll have to remove this fitting on the grease gun and install this fitting. Now, the grease fittings that I just removed here, you're supposed to be able to press here and then force the grease through the check valve onto this style grease fitting. You press the tip of the grease gun grease fitting onto that Zerk fitting like so, and it forces grease past the Zerk into the joint or bearing that you're going to grease. The problem is sometimes it's unsuccessful and the grease starts squirting out the sides and it becomes unsuccessful and not really effective. So I usually like to take the grease fitting, this style grease fitting, off, and I like to just take the grease fitting off and apply it and then pump my grease, and it's a lot more effective and you don't waste grease. So it's pretty simple. You're just going to unthread this off of the tip of the grease gun. Sometimes they're loose, sometimes they're not. You can just grab some pliers, grip onto this, and then with a 1/2-inch wrench bust it loose, and then thread on this style. And then I usually just take a 9/16 wrench and a 1/2-inch, and we'll go ahead and tighten that up just snug. It doesn't have to be too tight. So now that we have the fitting on our grease gun, we're going to slide over our U-joint, press the fitting over the hole where the grease fitting is, and then we'll go ahead and grease. And you can see the grease squirting outside of the bearing. And just where you start to see grease coming out of the seal here on the bearing cap, you go ahead and stop And same applies for all four bearings as well. You'll start to see grease coming out of these seals, bearing seals. So that's the most effective way to grease these. And I'll just clean up any excess grease around the bearing caps. Get them cleaned up on the outside real good. And we'll just take our screwdriver, and I'll do all three on my drive shaft. So I have one there, 2, 3, and we'll just go ahead and put the Zerk fittings back. Thread it in snug tight. Hand tight is good. And that bearing's gonna be done. I also like to wipe all the fittings off clean so dust and dirt doesn't stick to the grease fittings. So I like to grease my tailgate. We'll go ahead and clean up the Zerk fitting and set our grease gun on top. Wipe up the excess. Okay, so the next one on the other side, the control arm, upper control arm, we'll go ahead and install the Zerk fitting. And then we'll give that one a couple pumps of grease. Now it's always good to have a couple towels on hand so you can wipe up the excess grease. I like to hit the bushings for the control arms with some WD-40. This keeps the bushings wet and also helps them from drying out. And with some WD-40, we'll just shoot all the bushings for sway bar, and I'll go ahead and shoot the upper control arm too. And I'll hit these with WD-40 as well. It looks like these shocks are gonna go bad a little bit. So I may end up replacing these shocks here soon. Pump some grease into tie rod. Okay, got some grease in there. And we'll also grease this one too. Another tie rod. Okay, so now we've got the front end suspension greased up. We're gonna go ahead and hit all the bushings with some WD-40 like this. The straw helps out, and that'll keep these bushings wet and prolong their life as far as letting them dry out. We don't want them to dry out, that's the idea. And the lower control arm. I just use a rag to help dry up any excess that drips off. and I'll hit the bottom of the shock bushing. The Jeep is all lubed up, chassis lubed up, suspension's all lubed up. We're all good to go. Got the driveline all lubricated, good to go. Hey, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up and check out some of my other videos that may be helpful to you. And here in the future, we're going to be making custom rock rails that are going to go right in here. My version of the custom rock rails. So stay tuned for that upcoming video, and check out some of my other videos. Like I said, that may be helpful to you. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.